Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the India Today Conclave in Mumbai, where we are joined by a special guest. I say special because one of the problems that we often have, even in conclaves or across the country, is how do we bridge what I call the tyranny of distance? How do you reach out to the periphery of the country and find out the politics of that? And how do those regional identities then work with national ambitions? Today I'm joined by a very special guest. He is at the age of 42, already a three-time MP. And very few will know it, but in 2024, one of the biggest victories of that election was scored by Gaurav Gogoi because the entire might of the BJP state machinery was against him in Jorhat, and he still won that election. Please give him a very big hand. Gaurav Gogoi, the Congress's deputy leader in the Lok Sabha. Gaurav, I see a new stride in you, a swagger. Is it Gaurav Gogoi finally emerging from the shadow of his late father, a three-time chief minister? You were always called part of the Baba Log or the Dinas. Did this victory in Jorhat this time, where you took on in a way Hemanta Biswa Sarma, or he took you on, finally give you to believe that you have earned your inheritance in a way?
Rajdeep, we are public representatives. So the swagger you see is not that of mine, but that of the Indian public, who in the last Lok Sabha taught the ruling party a lesson in humility. And I think that's the swagger of young India today. That's the swagger of people who feel that they can express themselves. And if they want to support the government, they have the right to. And they have the right to also express criticism without being targeted or without being victimized by the government. So there's a swagger in New India, which is good for democracy. As for the people of Jorhat, you know, I see the verdict of Jorhat as the same as the verdict of Varanasi, as the same as the verdict of Raebareli. It was about people telling politicians, listen, stop dividing us and find solutions. Find solutions to the problems of unemployment, price rise, climate change, higher education. And if you don't find solutions, you will get punished. So I think if the last decade, Rajdeep, was about these strong leaders centralizing power across the world, this decade is about people taking back that power from those politicians. That's what's happened in Sri Lanka, that's what's happened in Bangladesh, and we saw a glimpse of that into 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
That's an interesting way to put it, but Gaurav, I just want to say that when you came into politics in 2014, you'd come what? With a master's in public policy in New York University. And I still remember most people said, ye to Tarun Gogoi ka beta hai. Including Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma, who left the party soon after because he believed that the party was being handed over from father to son. Was there a shadow that dogged your political career for the last decade, which you believe you finally emerged out of? For the longest time, you were seen as Tarun Gogoi's son.
You know, Rajdi, what I've learned from my father is that politics can be about uniting people. And that's what I saw in Assam. That politics united people and brought peace, as opposed to what you see in Manipur, which is politics dividing people and bringing about instability. I learned from him the value of staying humble and staying grounded. I learned the value of always keeping your mind open and learning new things. I saw in his tenure that he was looking at the Global Happiness Index, what Bhutan was doing. He was looking at the Human Development Index, which was coming from the UN. So these are the values that have been part of me. I'm proud of those values. I'm proud of those lessons. And those are the values that I want to take on. I have nothing personal against Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma. I think it's a clash of ideas and a clash of values. He's entitled to represent what he believes in, and I'm entitled to what I've learned from my father.
You know, you seem to suggest as if the world has changed with the 2024 election. Truth is, it hasn't. Narendra Modi is still the Prime Minister of the country. There is no Congress government even today in any of the states of the Northeast. The BJP is a two-time winner in Assam itself. It still remains in power in Manipur. So what is this change that you're talking about? Simply bringing the BJP down from 303 to 240. Are you suggesting means that India has changed in the last few months, or winning 7 out of the 25 seats in Assam? Does that mean that the Northeast is suddenly changing?
Rajdeep, I don't see any change in Prime Minister Narendra Modi or the BJP government. They pretend as if their head is stuck in the sand and they want to show that they are still in a position of power and they will continue doing what they have for the last 10 years. But what has changed is in the idea of people who thought that Mr. Modi would be this messiah-like figure who would, with a wave of his hand, wipe out all the solutions, who entrusted in this strong man, who believed in this idea that one strong party, without encumbered by coalition politics, would really find the solutions to India's problems. And what I've found is that that idea of that one party, one man can change the course of the nation, that has changed. And people feel that there needs to be more dialogue. People feel that their ideas need to be respected. And people feel that people are wiser than politicians. And politicians, as Mohan Bhagwatji said, should not think that they are a divine being. And I think many people have to learn that lesson, not only Prime Minister Modi, but also my senior political leader in Assam, Mr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. It would do him well to learn the words of Mohan Bhagwat, which is, no man is a god.
No, but your party also seems to regard the Gandhi family in some way, as these larger-than-life figures. It's not as if your party is short of sycophancy. You accuse the Prime Minister and the BJP of promoting this sort of divine cult. But you're creating a cult around Rahul Gandhi also in his own way.
Well, there is a culture of debate and democracy. You saw that there was a G20 group which wrote an open letter which suggested reforms to the then Congress Party President Srimati Sonia Gandhi. Has there been an open letter telling the Prime Minister that demonetization was wrong? If today a GST trader in Chennai says that I'm having problems with GST, he gets publicly ostracized. If they are journalists like yourself, and I saw what happened, Rajdeep, earlier today, I think it was very deplorable. But if a journalist asks tough questions, then the ruling party feel as if they are God's gift and they are above question. So I really think that, what we have in our party is that they are leaders who must be respected, but those leaders are open to ideas, are open to divergent ideas, dissenting ideas, and we have that culture of debate and dialogue, and we have the culture of dissent.
But I've just come in reading an article saying now even in Himachal Pradesh, shopkeepers and vendors of food shops will have to put their names on the shop. When that was being done in Uttar Pradesh, in Yogi's Uttar Pradesh, you said this is a way to divide people. So when they do it in Uttar Pradesh, it's dividing people. What does it mean when a Congress government in Himachal also does it? The fact is, we live in a society where we demonize a community. And where does your Mohabbat ki dukaan go then in Himachal Pradesh?
If you've seen what Vikramaditya Singh said in his press statement, he said that it was a bipartisan committee. And I think there are real issues in today's India that no one political party has a solution to. And the difference between UP that it was a unilateral action, whereas in Himachal Pradesh that came through a bipartisan consensus dialogue. And I think as long as we have that debate, I think as long as we have that process of dialogue, I think that's what differentiates and that's what we need. I think today politicians don't have the answers to climate change. They don't have the answers to unemployment. They don't have the answers to how technology is disrupting the world. And what we actually need is a form of bipartisanship. We need to come together and collaborate. Otherwise, we are just getting overwhelmed with all these problems, and it becomes therefore easier for the politician to rather divert the attention of the public through forms of division. It's very easy to distract and divide, and it's harder to think creatively and address the solutions to the problems of 21st century of the world and India.
But the truth is, you're coming here on this show and saying bipartisan. You'll go to Parliament, you're a deputy leader. We see what happens in Parliament. Politics in this country, Gaurav, has become more hyper-polarized than ever before. Y'all seem to be driven by anti-Modism, and they seem to be driven by a visceral hatred of the Gandhi-Nehru family. How does India deal with politicians who will not talk to each other anymore, but talk at each other?
I think, the people will teach us a lesson. You saw in Sri Lanka what has happened. There were two major parties. They kept cobbling with each other. And a party which barely got any votes in the last election swept to power. And the people will teach us, if the Congress and the BJP and the major political parties, if we just continue in a fight without finding solutions and without showcasing ideas that work in our respective states, then the people would just punish us and they would push for I wouldn't say a radical idea, but an alternative idea. And it is for our own political survival that not to get bogged down in these fights and keep a pulse that today there is a young India and a younger India and an India that is what is in which the problem of unemployment, low skill, semi-skilled, anxiety, mental health issues, toxic masculinity, disruption by technology, all of these problems are increasing. And if politicians don't find their solutions, then traditional politics or traditional political parties will simply be overwhelmed by the anger and the fury of public opinion.
I must say, that's pretty refreshing to hear a politician talk of toxic.
I told you I'll give you news bites, Rajdeep. I think I owe it to India Today for bringing a politician on after a musician like that. So I thought, like, you know, I can't come up with some stale set of talking points.
No, you see, music unites, sports unites, politics divides. That's the problem. And you know, that's why we really, in a way, reach out to musicians, to sports persons. They unite. And I want to come to you, speaking of unity, to a lovely state of the northeast, Manipur. For 17 months, more than 240 people have been killed officially in the ethnic conflict there. We've seen today, rather quite absurdly, a false report being put out that 900 Kuki militants had crossed. Now the government has denied it. But you've got a state where you still have thousands of people living in refugee camps and two Manipurs, a Kuki Manipur and a Meitei Manipur. Do you have a solution, Gaurav, at all? Is that part of the problem, that while you're in opposition, you can criticize the government? Would you have a solution, a healing touch to Manipur, a state which also burnt when you were in power?
You know, in recent times and over the last few days, all of us have talked about that how Prime Minister Modi has gone to New York and is trying to broker a solution between Russia and Ukraine. He's talking to the US president, he's talking, the NSA is briefing the Vladimir Putin, he's talking to the Ukrainian president. Why is the Prime Minister not putting the same effort in speaking to the Meiteis and the Kukis and telling them to come together? He's flying all across the world to broker a peace between Russia and Ukraine and still not taken a flight to Manipur and tried to broker a peace between the Kuki and the Meitei community. You know, Rajdeep, I was in a non-profit career before I joined politics, and I too, like many, had a very blinkered view of politics. But like I said, through my own eyes of spending a few years in Assam, I saw how politics smoothened the ethnic tensions, brought together diverse communities, and created peace which was fractured by incidents of violence, but long-term peace. And that's why it breaks my heart that here in Northeast, where we have lost the decades of 80s and 90s due to insurgency, here we have gone in Manipur, we've created a climate where private investment can't take place. We've created an environment that people can't live side to side with each other. We've created an environment that a Kuki boy can't study in a college dominated by Meiteis and vice versa. And there is visceral hate.
So what would you do? What would you do that you believe Prime Minister Modi and the BJP have not done?
Well, what Prime Minister Modi is doing in Ukraine, he needs to be a hands-on Prime Minister. The issue of bringing about peace can't be outsourced to the Union Home Minister or some national security advisor or to the state leadership, which has already lost faith, as evidenced in the last Lok Sabha election. It is for the Prime Minister to play the role of a healer, bridger, statesperson, and the Prime Minister needs to come in. I think the people of Northeast would thank him. I would thank him if he brings about peace in Manipur and brokers an understanding and a path of reconciliation between the Meiteis and Kukis.
You know, this is a little contentious. We are in an audience in Mumbai. God forbid, and I hope it never happens, even if two people died in some kind of a clash in Mumbai, it would be front page splash and all this Mumbaikar audience would be agitated. 230, 40 people have died in Manipur. Do you feel that that sense of agitation and anger is missing because it is way out in the Northeast? That the Northeast has suffered from the tyranny of distance?
That's the problem of anybody who is from Delhi. That's the problem of Tamil Nadu, Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, the Northeast, Daman and Diu. Anybody who sits far away from Delhi, our problems don't get the same attention. But what I want as somebody from the Northeast is not pity. I think what we need is leadership. We need to take leadership of our own problems. We need to solve our own problems. And we need to break the stereotypes that people sitting in Mumbai, Delhi, or Goa have of the Northeast, that we are not just a region racked by conflict. We are a region that gives Mary Kom. We are a region that gives Mirabai. We are a region that is important to the security of India. Right now, what's happening in Bangladesh has an immediate impact on the Northeast. Right now, the unstable political climate of Myanmar has an impact of how drugs is entering into various states. Right now, how China is building military installations across Arunachal Pradesh has an impact on our security. So the Northeast is pivotal not only to our unity and sense of integrity, but also to our national security. And I think you know, what I'm worried about, especially with the developments in Bangladesh, that we have seen that how rogue elements and non-state actors, which had their bases in Bangladesh in the past, created havoc, violence, and terrorized the people of Northeast. And I don't want that climate. And therefore, you know, for us as a bordering region, as a bordering state, for how India and the government of India conducts its foreign policy is very important. The Prime Minister is welcome to go to Russia, Ukraine, and the Middle East, but Indian foreign policy should also address the problems we have in our own neighborhood, whether it's Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, Bangladesh, or Sri Lanka or Maldives.
You know, because your Chief Minister in Assam talks a lot of cultural nationalism, some of which is being interpreted by his critics as communal bias against Muslims. That somewhere when he singles out Muslim vendors in a marketplace, when he says, I'm going to bring in laws that will ensure that Muslim marriages are brought within the civil code, you can't have a separate Sharia law. Would you concede that even in your state, there is a growing Hindu-Muslim divide? Ahomya versus non-Ahomya, Muslim versus Hindu divide? And how dangerous is that?
Rajdeep, trust the people of Assam. They are much more wiser and smarter than Himanta Biswa Sharma. There are 2026 assembly elections. The people of Assam will teach a lesson to the BJP's politics of divide and rule. People of Assam are intelligent, cultured, civilized. We are passionate, we are emotional, we are sentimental. But the politics of Himanta Biswa Sharma and the current BJP dispensation is an anomaly to the culture of Assam. And it's also an anomaly to his own BJP party. He is playing divide and rule in his own party. After my victory in Jorhat, former party presidents of BJP were congratulating me. So I think the victory in Jorhat opened a can of worms in the BJP itself. And I think it's for them to answer. But as I told you in the beginning, trust the people of Assam. They see through this politics. They are much more wiser and smarter than the Assam Chief Minister.
Am I talking to, therefore, someone who hopes to be the next Assam Chief Minister? The buzz is you're going to leave Delhi and move now to Guwahati till 2026. True?
Well, I think it's very important that we win the assembly election of Assam. I think it's very important that we start in advance. I've said this in the past as well, that for our party, we should look at states going to election not only this year, but next year, 2026. I admire the fact that Rahul Gandhi ji has already given a target to the Congress party in Gujarat that we must form the Congress party there. And I think we should have similar targets for all election-going states, including Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, and all the other states subsequent.
I'm going to get in my colleague Kaushik Deka, who heads a wonderful online portal, India Today Northeast. Kaushik, as a fellow Ahomya to your friend here, Gaurav Gogoi, what's your question, Kaushik? Could we get the mic? Is there a mic that we could give Kaushik?
Hi, Gaurav. First of all, congratulations. Your victory was amazing.
Kaushik has taken my first interview.
First ever?
My first ever interview in India Today.
And I profiled him when he first landed in Guwahati.
I have one complaint against India Today. They have done maybe 3 stories of me in the past, and it's the same tagline, sun rising, sun rising, sun rising. I think India Today needs to I feel for the next generation of politicians, they will also get sun rising, sun rising. So please come up with a creative
No, no, after the
way of
first
telling.
complaint we changed. Only one. The first one that I did of him. And he taught me a lot about Assam also. We traveled together to various places and he's a wonderful foodie. You can ask him about food also. But Gaurav,
Big
having
pav
said
bhaji fan.
that, having said that,
No, you make wonderful, the Assamese make some of the best pork curry.
Yes, absolutely.
You make very nice fish by the Brahmaputra.
Rajdeep, you know Northeast very well. You keep traveling there. Please bring more friends from Bombay. I think the more they visit the Northeast, the more they'll start understanding and they'll start reporting and discussing. The only way of bridging this tyranny of distance is by actually traveling and seeing the beauty for your own, but through your own eyes. So just please get more influential friends from Bombay and Delhi to come to Northeast.
Okay.
yes,
Kaushik?
should be. So having said that, do you now feel that pressure because a large number of youth now see you as after your speeches in parliament, especially they see you as the future of Assam and there is a projection that you are going to be Himanta Biswa Sarma's prime rival. Now Congress has found a face. At the same time, you also face this problem of being an Ahom face. You know the typical Ahom versus Upper Assam, Lower Assam. Lot many conflicts are coming in and the polarization is happening Hindu versus Muslim. Congress is now being targeted as a Muslim party. So all these issues together, how would you like to project yourself to the people of Assam, particularly to the youngsters?
Well, when I speak to young people, the number one issue is the quality of higher education. They feel that they're not getting enough money for scholarships. They feel that the infrastructure in today's universities is not up to the mark. And they feel that, whatever degree or skill that they're learning is not preparing them for industry. And I think that's, what I feel is that any future Congress government, whether in Assam or in Delhi, how do we talk about higher education in a way that prepares them for the industry and the changes in industry? You understand that we have a huge semiconductor investment through the Tata Group, but how much have we focused on engineering colleges in Assam? How much have we focused on teaching semiconductor courses? So we have to create that ecosystem. The only pressure I feel, Kaushik, is that, as I said, politicians across the world are struggling to find solutions to the economic inequalities, to the problems of unemployment, to the problems of climate change, to the disruptive role of technology, and the anxiety and frustration that is coming up as a result in all major ethnic and tribal communities. And that's the only pressure I feel that, when our turn comes, we need to have a constructive roadmap and a plan right from day one when we take power.
Okay, so finally, a NYU graduate, Masters in Public Policy, comes and does politics in Assam, not the easiest place in the world. What's the best thing about being a young politician and what's been the most difficult thing for you?
The best thing about being a young politician is that you have all these years in front of you to keep learning and improving. And you have the chance to be a better version of yourself. And I think that's what I try to do. I try to be a better version of who I am from last year. And I hope that 10 years from now, I'll be a better version of who I am today. One change, I think, Rajdeep, you and I were talking, what change do you see between the old generation and the new generation? And I think what the old generation would do very well, and including my father and many people across all political parties, is invest time in building relationships. I think as a younger set of politicians, who've gone through various professional courses or have had some professional experiences, we simply don't invest that much time in building relationship. We try and manage our time to make sure that we do multiple things and multiple projects. But, the chemistry, therefore, and the art of building relationship, and the art of building relationship across political parties, I think that's something that all of us have to learn, whether Congress, BJP, or any other regional party.
It's interesting you said that because our next speaker is someone who knows the art of building relationships. You've got Nitin Gadkari there. Is he the kind of politician you think should be a 21st century politician, knows the art of building relationships? Would you find him a good coalition builder, Prime Minister?
there are people in the BJP that I admire. I admire the way Nitin Gadkari ji addresses the issues about road transport and addresses the MPs inside Parliament. I admired the way the late Sushma Swaraj was a fierce, combative leader of opposition. And in private, I've learned a lot from their own experiences as well and their views. And I think that's what politicians today, we need to understand, that neither they have the answers nor we have the answers. The answers will only come if we talk to each other and we collaborate. And we just hope that we understand the importance of collaborating. Otherwise, as I said, we'll just get swept apart and a new alternative would come and get the support of the public.
Gaurav Gogoi, for being a thoughtful young politician who just scored a huge victory in the Lok Sabha elections and spoke about a variety of issues, including toxic masculinity, which I don't know how many people have spoken about on a political platform at India today.
That's the agenda that I want to set in the Congress party in my state as well. And with a reference to the previous session, I think what young men across India and across the world need is that we need a revolution of the male mind. And like the way there was a feminist global movement which transformed the female idea of not only who she is, but also in her relationship with other people, that's what we need as males as well. We need a parallel revolution of masculinity, not only in terms of how we deal with women, but how we deal with our own anxieties and pressures and our own issues. And I think that's very much important, especially when you are in a political party which is so dominated by males.
So as a first step, I hope you will give many more women tickets in the next election in Assam. Start with tickets. But I'm sure, Gaurav Gogoi, you've set a way forward. And I'm delighted, having known your late father, who used to smile more than you. The one thing about the older generation politicians, they always knew how to win you with a smile. So you've got to smile more.
Yeah.
And he was a wonderful man, Tarun Gogoi, always available with lots of food and smiles for anyone who wanted to discuss politics with him. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Thank you so much.
Gaurav Gogoi.